how unique it is, other people would be like, oh, so you think it's a big deal. And it is a big deal. That's the thing. The thing I wonder sometimes is it that I think my stuff is that big of a deal? Or is it that, when if I was to say, I have things I could show people, but until they experience it, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds just silly. Like, until I have the confidence in myself to show people this without feeling weird, because I never thought spiritual, but I feel spiritual all the time. I try to hold back my, see, what's the word I want to say when I say spiritual? Like when you're walking around in a haze and you don't even feel your body. You're just looking around, watching something, doing something, not paying attention to your body, not feeling your inside. Like I feel my inside all the time. That makes any sense? So I'm not just in my head. I'm in my everywhere. I'm there. I feel it all the time. And I experience it. So therefore, since I experience it more, all my senses have heightened. Like if I listen, I hear better. If I look, I focus better. If I smell, I smell better. If I taste better, I guess. But I don't know about that because I'm not really that big on what the food is, because most healthy foods aren't that delicious. But so when I talk about the stuff that I'm doing, I don't mean to sound. Oh, my alarm's going off. Don't mind that. It's funny. See, it's life. This is how life goes. You try to do a serious talk, and your alarm goes off. So anyway, what I was saying is that sometimes it's like I have so much to say to people, but I don't know how to say it without sounding a certain way, so I don't say it at all. So the only way I feel I can do it is in these tapings. But then if I go to write it in the words, they just read it. And if they listen to it, they might hear my emotion, but they don't feel it. So if I could get people to see what I see, feel what I feel, hear what I hear, experience what I experience, that would be different. But then other people would try to relate and say, yeah, I know. I wish you could experience the things I've been through. I'm like, okay, so what were they? Explain them to me in your physical sense. Or did you record them in a spiritual sense? Like, did you feel them? Those things that you experienced that you thought so bad, I understand on a personal level. So now, since I understood that on a personal level, like, say you look around the room, and then say you stare at one thing in the room. Okay, well, now imagine the sense of looking. Use that as an sense of feeling experientially inside, spiritually, your body. Okay, and now focus that. Instead of looking around the room with your eyes, think about how you're looking around the room with your feelings, okay? Instead of just looking around the room, focus on that one thing in the room with your feelings and start doing that. That's a spiritual exercise. Think of it that way. I'm glad I did this talk, because that's sort of a good way to put it to people. So if you could get people to experience what you experience, they would understand it. And the thing is, I can show people things that take them into a spot they never knew they could go. But in order to show them, I have to have them take me seriously. But until they say, I want you to show me, I feel like I'm forcing it on them. Even my kids, like I say stuff to my kids, but then they don't say, okay, well, I want to do it now. I want to try that. And if they did, I would be so happy. But I can't make them do it. That's the weird thing. So I have these gifts and exercises and methods to share with people, but I don't think anyone wants to know about them. And I don't think it's I'm afraid of, not really afraid, I just don't want to affect the people around me in a way by coming and talking about the spiritual stuff that I've experienced, because everyone wants me to just, don't talk about that, just, play along with what everyone else is doing. It's like they almost want to say, well, I know that makes sense, but, you don't want to stick out. Just dumb it down and be normal. And I'm not normal. No one's normal. Everyone's just acting. That's why everyone gets so cranky, because they don't let themselves go, But then we don't know how we would be if we let ourselves go. What would we do? We wouldn't be doing this stuff anymore. We wouldn't be following TV shows and whatever. We'd be out in nature more often. We wouldn't be on technology. Like, I'm using my phone because it's the only way I can get my voice recorded so that these thoughts get out of my head. I have so many thoughts and so many things to say to people. I zipped around the universe just 20 minutes ago, but I could teach other people how to do it. But who am I to say I can teach? The word teach is such a heavy word. But I don't want to make this talk too long. I just basically wanted to say, is that when I say, I wish you could feel what I feel, I wish you could see what I see, hear what I hear, experience what I experience, and other people say, yeah, well, I wish you could feel mine too. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I wish I could. And honestly, I bet you I can. I've felt similar to that in an experiential way. So yes, I have felt that. I have been there. So when other people tell me they've been there with me, I'm like, you have. Have you experienced yourself be ripped apart? But then have you had like craziest orgies with beings of other places, family members, and all this kind of weird stuff that you didn't want but had to accept, but knew it wasn't real, but accepted that this is just an illusion. It's all possible, but it's all just viewed right or wrong in other people's eyes, until you become all of it and realize that there's nothing that's right or wrong, because all of it's happening to you. And then, if you can communicate with yourself, as in other people, and they would realize that they're all doing it to ourselves, then they'd start loving everybody. But they won't do it because they don't want to listen to anyone who makes sense. They want to listen to the program. And that's all I'm going to say.